Hi, hello. I am sitting here going through my taxes from 2025, and I hate that. But there's one good thing about going through each month the previous year, and that is reflecting on your book club picks for the previous year. So we have 12 books to go through. I'm going to break this into 4 parts. I'm going to choose the first quarter of the year and the 3 books that we chose and voted on as a book club and what my thoughts were. First one that we chose for January of 2025 was Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. This book is a very deeply emotional journey that kind of navigates from this place of resentment into familial love and a coming togetherness. It turns into almost be a type of memoir of the mother of these 2 daughters. And so these 2 daughters always had this kind of like cold relationship with their mother, and she wasn't the most loving. She just seemed very off-put and just cold, closed off. And the only thing that really connected them all together was their father, who was like the glue of the family. So as he passes away, we then kind of explore the relationship between the 2 sisters and also their relationship with their mother. And they kind of start this learning journey about their mother. And there was like this fairy tale that they used to have to like listen to when they were younger. And what they learn is that it actually was like a real enactment of their mother's past. And without saying too much or spoiling it, it is a beautiful story written by Kristen Hanna, which many are. And it just really, really makes you think. It makes you think about like your past and the scars that you have in the past and how that really shapes your present and also your future. So these 2 daughters go through an incredible journey, learning more about their mother, and we get to really look into the life of their mother and who she was in the past before them, and who she is during the time of being a mother, and who she is now as an adult and grieving widower. So it is a beautiful story. I flagged the shit out of this one. It was really beautiful, and it will stay with me for a very, very long time. And then for our February book club pick, oh, I'm just realizing now this is 2024. Hold on. Yeah, this was 2024 from when we did book club boxes. So let's hope my taxes are more organized than my memory of book club. Anyways, I will talk about this book though. We did Dead of Winter, which was a perfect winter read in the depths of winter in February here, which we have a lot of snow. It was a very like atmospheric horror with like thriller and mystery aspects. So a person is stranded in the woods after this tour bus with a bunch of strangers. And as people get murdered, you have to try to figure out who the murderer is. And of course, as you think you've pegged who it is, that person ends up being murdered. And then you think it's somebody else, and then that person ends up dead. And then it keeps you guessing. The chapters are super short, it's fast paced. It was a very entertaining read. I really enjoyed it for the entertainment value of it. The characters could have had a little bit more depth to them, but again, it was meant to be a short, entertaining read. I did make some notes as I read through this book, like on who they were, what the person looked like, what their job was. That's why I like annotating sometimes, especially in a sense of like a mystery. And it was just such a good time. It was so fun. It was a perfect winter read of them being stranded in this lodge in the middle of the woods with crappy snowstorm weather, like perfect. So this was the actual book that we read in 2025 in February for book club. Sorry about that. The other one was a previous 2024 year. I don't know how I missed that. I think it was because February I was like, oh, it was definitely this book, because that book is still so memorable, even though it was like 2 years ago. But this book that we read was absolutely a beautiful time. This is not my first book by Adrienne Young, I don't think. Let me give you a little bit of info about it, and then I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, this one I'm actually going to read it from the super summary because I don't want to mess this up. I did read this, and I remember it, but there's a lot of detail to this one. So it can sound a bit confusing, I think, because it's like 2 different timelines and characters existing at the same time, but not. So it's like a magical realism novel, and June Farrow has to navigate a family curse that's causing the Farrow women to exist in 2 times at once. So it's set in Jasper, North Carolina. She's struggling to break this curse while she's also uncovering secrets about her lineage, her lost memories, and her complex relationships. So ultimately, she has to decide to either stay in the past or to live in the here and now with her family that she knows and loves now, or to resume living in her other real life, which was in a different time. Sounds confusing. It has some themes of murder, and there is some loss by suicide in this book. And it was very emotional. It was also very fun to like piece things together and like figure things out together. It made for great discussion in book club. I highly recommend this one. It's a great read. And then the book that we chose for March of 2025 was Mad Honey. This is dual author. So Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finley Boyan, they followed the trial of this 18-year-old who was accused of murdering his girlfriend, Lily. And the mother of the boy is really, you know, grappling with doubts of who he is as her son, because she has a past of an abusive ex-husband. And so she's struggling with, you know, loving her son and wanting to believe that he did not do this, but also she's kind of like, what if he did? What if he learned these bad ways and behaviors from his father and all that kind of stuff? So this is a very emotional story again. It does deal with gender identity, and it's a heartwarming story of romance, but also mixed in with like mystery and horror. It's like it's a whole mix. It's a big mix. There's themes of violence, abuse, gender expression, and identity, like I said, unveiling complex character backstories and relationships. And it also mentions and describes violence, bullying, and death by suicide. So it's heavy yet heartwarming. It's really hard to explain. I do remember really enjoying this. I remember really finding it heartwarming, but also heartbreaking. And I learned a lot from this book. And I also felt a shift, though, in the author's writing styles. I don't know how much of each author wrote what, and sometimes that happens with dual authors. It's like, I don't know the process of how they write it. Sometimes I'm like, okay, did another author take over and start writing this, or was this person influenced by what this author was saying? And you kind of got to read it for yourself to understand what I'm trying to say with that. But it did feel very much like there were two authors that wrote this, and take that for how you will. But I enjoyed it. It was a great story. It was, it made me feel a lot. And a lot of books I rate highly if they make me feel something. It could make me feel rage. It could make me feel happy, silly, laugh out loud. I just look for some type of emotion. Like I need some kind of movement mentally and that stimulation of my feelings to come out when I read a book. So I thought this was a great one for book club as well. So those are the 3/4 as a bonus books of the beginning quarter of 2025/2024. And I will share with you the next 3 in part 2 of 4 of these books that we chose for book club.